Hello and welcome, dear hunters. I am Bolmeteus and I want to have a look at Monster Hunter 1, especially the Greatsword in Monster Hunter 1, and I will be moving through every single game in Monster Hunter using the Greatsword. How it evolves, how the Greatsword plays against all of the monsters. And this video, first off, is simply just to have a look at what is the Greatsword in Monster Hunter 1? What does it do? What attacks does it have? How does it function? What moves do you prefer? What moves are bad? What moves are good? So let's go right into it. What does the Greatsword actually do in Monster Hunter? Well, one of the most popular attacks is the draw attack. It's quite fast, comes out very quick, and also it moves a little distance. So let's try and draw the sword, especially at this small tent post on the ground, and see how far the blade can reach. So it reaches about here, where the character is standing, which is quite far. Comes out very quick, very fast. It's the fastest attack of the Greatsword. So then we have three directions that do something. If you don't know, in Monster Hunter 1, the moves are done by pressing directional buttons on your analog stick, which some people hate, but I find it quite fascinating. So the standard, very slow but very powerful attack is this one. Then we have the directional buttons to the side, which on the left does a sort of spinning motion, which also moves you a little bit forward. And then we have my favorite swing of this weapon, the, I would say, upswing into a backward slash, which is the button on the right. This move is insanely useful. It has a long reach to the front, but also it hits enemies that are standing behind your character, which can be exploited in many situations and saved my hunter from attacks from behind a lot of times when I don't have time to move away or to sheath my weapon or to roll away. Just simply adding this slash to the motion can do damage, while evading would have saved your life, but actually doing more damage more quickly can be beneficial in a lot of situations. So these are the three attacks. 4 attacks together with a draw slash. What else can the Greatsword do? Well, it can block attacks. You can't change direction, you can't move, you can't roll out of it fast. You have to do a small animation back, and in that time frame you are vulnerable. So in general you could say the guard sucks. It sucks a lot. Can be useful against Balfangos a lot of the times, but evading and dodging and getting ready to attack is most of the time more useful than just guarding. So personally it has very niche use, the guard, especially if you are running to a monster and you can't evade, just guard instantly. Maybe then you can use it. But in general, those are our attacks that we can use. However, we can modify those attacks. If you do this upswing into the backswing, you can actually move to the right while doing this, turning 45 degrees. Then if you chain down a downswing, you can move 45 degrees again. So it does 8 attacks. It needs 8 attacks to do a full turn. You can do the same thing with the leftward motion of the longsword, which is the spinning slash, I would say. So again, It turns you 45 degrees and it takes 8 slashes to do a full circle and face the way you started. This has a restriction though. If you turn 45 degrees to the right and you want to turn left, you can actually... Wait, you can do that? You can... So, you can turn back and forth. I actually thought that wasn't possible. Never mind. So, makes it even more versatile. I think this change of direction motion that gets even better by the reach and area of effect of this weapon is a very overlooked ability of the Greatsword. So you can turn, change direction and react to the monsters around you that are slightly not in a good position for your next attack if you wouldn't turn. Next thing the Greatsword can do is rolling after each attack. This basically is possible when the animation finishes, or when, as a general rule, you could say when the sword slams into the ground. That is the timing where you can roll out of harm's way. Can roll to the sides, so to the left and to the right, but you can also roll forwards. What you can't do, what you can do in later Hunter games, is roll backwards, which actually you can't do in the base game. You roll backwards, so right now I'm moving the stick backwards. You will always roll to the left instead. So you have to choose a direction or to the front, but the back is not possible. In general, what I found online, most people advise you to do is just do the quick draw slash, move 1 or 2 times out of the way, sheath again, run away, look for an opening, draw attack, roll out of the way, sheath, look for an opening, draw attack, and so on. You get the idea. Personally, I think this works. I think this is very possible, but I wouldn't consider it optimal. Because you're running away and sheathing a lot and looking for openings, you lose a lot of damage potential. Obviously, this is a great strategy that is useful a lot of times when you have very little damage windows. But in general, the Greatsword has a lot more to offer. Can roll into the monster where there are no dangerous zones to be in and do something else, something stationary, something that keeps you in this at the point where you're standing. So a lot of things have to be considered when using the Greatsword. First, the times and the directions that you can roll out of. This is the first thing you will have to learn when using the Greatsword. The second thing is the directions you can turn towards. This is super useful when the monster is evading. For example, a velocity drone is jumping to the right, you can follow it up and you don't have to sheath and run away just because it's not in your attack direction anymore. So a lot of things happening here. Rolling and directional changes, as well as the third thing, how much does your attack move you? If I'm chaining lefts and forwards, my hunter actually moves a very far distance. See, I'm getting close to that bush, getting closer to the tree trunk. So there are combos that move you forward which have good reach, but also there are combos that almost make you stay stationary. which, for example, involves this move. You almost stay at the same spot. Well, of course, you might lose damage because you're not using this overhead swing, but the overhead swing moves you a couple of steps, or one step forward. This might end up with you being behind the monster and running towards nothing. So being stationary and still be able to dish out good damage can be very useful. With this just the left-right combo. It does move you a little bit to the left, very little bit to the left. However, you don't lose damage if there's an opening for damage. Very important. If you're just rolling away, sheathing and draw slashing again, rolling away, sheathing, draw slashing, you're losing a lot of potential for this weapon. So just be mindful of how the attacks move you and where you end up after the attacks. That can improve your gameplay a lot. So, 3 things again, let's summarize. Rolling, super important. Yes, you have to roll out of your attacks, especially when your sword hits the ground. That's when you can engage that. Second, your attacks can turn. You can turn to the sides and increase your AoE abilities. So let's make an example for this, why this is important. Let's say the fire is a velocidrome, yeah? And it jumped to the left. So before it was here, now it jumped to the left. You can just turn to the left and attack it right away. But for example, if it's jumped behind you in a left motion, so right now it's like to my left behind me, and I whiffed an attack, yeah, you can just roll away and do a draw slash again. But what you can also do is, since the leftward swipe might not hit the monster because it is on your kind of leftward side behind you, what you can do is turn to the right and do the upswing, which exactly hits the monster then again. So by abusing the fact that this attack can hit behind you, together with the fact that you can turn the hunter's direction with this attack, you can always hit monsters that are on the left side behind you with this combo. This is just an example of how you can turn and abuse the hit zones of your attacks. Again, if I turn to the left with the spinning slash, I might not hit the monster. So what I do is turn to the right and abuse that the other attack can hit behind me, which exactly hits the fire. Or, for example, the velociprey, velocidrome, whatever. So, rolling, turning, and the third one is consider distance. The attacks move you. The attacks move you a couple of steps, or they don't move you. So assess the situation of what you need right now and don't move or move. And the rest just depends on where the monster is situated. So the fourth thing I would say, yeah, okay. The fourth thing is watch monsters of what they're doing and abuse that the AI is stupid sometimes. So for example, if the fire is the velocidrome and it is about to jump, what you can do is just do an upward slash, and if it jumps towards you, you'll most likely hit it because the hit zone is above you in the air. This goes also for the downward slash. So this can hit things up in the air. This is the fourth thing that you can use with the Greatsword. So it only has 3 attacks and a draw slash, but it's actually a quite complex weapon. It always considers everything around you by turning and being able to hit behind you. You always have to consider where your positioning is and where the monster's positioning is. So I actually find this weapon quite fascinating. It's not as simple as blocking and stabbing, or being just straight up super fast and powerful. It also doesn't have very far-reaching movement, but it is an aggressive and very versatile weapon. Right? I think that sums up the basic moveset with some tips of how to use the Greatsword, and I hope you took something from this. I will be hunting every monster in Monster Hunter 1 and through all the generations with the Greatsword, just to see how the weapon evolves, how the monsters evolve, and what I can learn from it. I think Monster Hunter is a very awesome combat game that has very slow combat that revolves around good and precise decision making. So that's why I wanted to visit the old game and see where it all began, and I also want to see where this journey takes me. So I will see you in the next episode where we will try these moves to hunt the first monster in the base game. I will also strip down the equipment to where I only have stuff with me that is available before the Velocidrome, so I don't like destroy the monster, which is kind of boring, and you don't learn from that combat experience in my mind. And also, it's just not what I want to do with this project. So, I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great day. I wish you good times. Alright, see ya.